Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. Today we're going to continue unboxing building the Black community. Let's take some more steps toward progress. Stick around. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Davis. I've been having a wonderful time these past 30 plus shows talking about how we build the Black family, how we build the Black community. It has been awesome. So before we get started with today, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. Yes, like, subscribe, and share. And then also check out Unboxed. Find out the things that we're doing. We are currently in the process of beginning a pastor's support group, So please go to our website. We also are kicking off our second round of the Executive Directors Peer Support Group. Check that out as well. And we have other exciting things that are coming up. So make sure you check those out. Okay, we're talking about building the Black family. Now, we've been talking about all the impact that slavery and just the history of racism and oppression has had on the African-American family and on the African-American community. All right. We have given you some information from two books. The first one is called They Stole It, But You Must Return It by William Richardson. And the second book, Richard Williams, I apologize. They Stole It, But You Must Return It by Richard Williams. We also looked at Joy DeGruy's book, Dr. Joy DeGruy. Her book is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And we talked about the various things that have been done in this nation to keep African Americans oppressed and the brutality with which it was done. And sometimes people think about, that was all the way back in slavery. I want you to remember, my friends, that 50 years ago, Blacks were being lynched. 50 years ago, it was okay to kill a Black man and not suffer repercussions. In the 70s, I was born in 74. In the 70s, there was still segregation in states like Virginia. You never think right next to Chocolate City, states like Virginia was still practicing forced segregations, would not allow Blacks to go into swimming pools and all kinds of other things. So we're not talking about something in the way past. We're talking about very recent. And then when you have these constant police brutalities and police murders that are being caught on video, and African Americans are having to re-witness and be re-traumatized, it has a profound impact on the psychological, it does a profound psychological damage to the African American psyche, profound damage to the African American psyche. And here's the catch. One of the biggest areas, and we've talked about education, we've talked about family, we've talked about a lot of things, but one of the biggest areas that being a minority in a violent country, a country that interacts with you in such a violent way, one of the things that it does is it forces you to suppress your feelings. For instance, I'll never forget the story of Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. And he tells a story when he was a little boy, about 5 years old. He and his father went into town in Shreveport, and they went to a store. And as a little boy, he made the mistake of putting the money in the white store owner's hand, which means that he touched the white store owner. And as a result, the white store owner grabbed him and slapped him around. I mean, just jerked the little boy up and just began to slap him. And he said at that moment, his father took off running and just abandoned him. And when I first heard that, I was very vexed and I was upset. How could you do that? Then the other side of me realized that had Richard Williams stood up for his son, if Richard Williams Sr., the father, I don't know what his name was, I apologize. If he had stood up for his son and had fought back, what would have ended up happening was his entire family would have been murdered. They would have murdered him. They would have murdered the little boy. They probably would have raped his wife. That was very common as well. And his whole family would have been killed. So to save his family, he had to allow his son to be humiliated and smacked around. So can you imagine when you have generations of that takes place, where you have to suppress your emotions, you have to suppress what you are feeling, I just remember the other day in Chicago, the video comes out. A woman is in her home, social worker, minding her business. Cops kick down the wrong door. They come into her house moments before she's about to get into the shower. She is butterball naked as the day that she was born, because she's about to get in her shower. You have 10 to 12 white male officers just standing in there looking at her body. And as she begins to cry, she never hit anyone. She didn't do anything violent, but she became emotional. Her volume rose minimally. I mean, just minimally. But she was noticeably disturbed, began to cry. And the white officer was frustrated by her crying and asked her in an annoyed tone, and the video is right on YouTube, so look to see if I'm accurate, asked in a very annoyed tone, "What are you upset about? What are you crying for? What are you upset about?" Basically saying, I don't want to be bothered by your emotions. So you have generation. Now remember, this is 2020 that this happened. We're not talking about 1920 or 1820. We're talking about 2020, where when African Americans come in contact with authority figures, though the paramilitary forces of the United States, which is our police departments, that oftentimes they're not allowed to raise their voice. They're not allowed to express emotions, not allowed to show hands. So what ends up happening, unfortunately, is that African Americans have a lot of repressed emotions. And one of the things that I really want to do today to kind of free our people, because this is going to be beneficial for families, is I want you to recognize your emotions. It is okay to have emotions. It is okay to be angry. I'm talking about angry to the point that you want to spit. What is not okay is to find the first light-skinned brother walking down the street and beat him up. Now, that's not okay, but it's okay to get angry. And I make sure I said that because I don't want anybody whooping up on me while I'm walking down the street. All right, now back to my point. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to be sad, to be annoyed, to be frustrated. It is okay to express that anger, that annoyance, that frustration, that sad, that fear, that whatever the emotion is, it is okay. One of the things that I want to encourage my community to do, and this will help families an awful lot, is to recognize your feelings, recognize those emotions that you're having, those feelings that you're having, and just honestly say, I am feeling this way. I am feeling angry. You know, even the Bible talks about it is okay to be angry as long as you don't sin. Be angry, but don't sin. In other words, be angry, but don't kick somebody's teeth out. Be angry, but don't shoot or stab someone, okay? And so we have for so many years had to suppress our emotions and had to suppress it. And so what ends up happening is as we interact with one another, those emotions come out in the most aggressive and violent ways sometimes. So one of the things that I like to encourage people to do is to recognize and to check in with your feelings. As a family, say what you're feeling, recognize it, it's there. Because as I close, feelings serve a very important role in human relationships. Feelings are signals. They are indicators. They are sending us messages that are telling us, hey, listen, this is what is going on psychologically. And the more you are in tune with your feelings and the quicker that you train yourself to recognize those feelings, the easier it becomes for you to manage and to monitor. Because the first thing we talked about is awareness, becoming aware of what we've been through, aware of what we are feeling. That then puts you in the place of being accountable. I know that I'm angry, so I want to be accountable for that anger. I know that I'm sad. Let me be accountable for how I manage that sadness. And of course, the third step is action. So it's very important on the front end to be very aware, to recognize and to be aware of your feelings. All right, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that, and I'm gonna transition into talking about accountability, and then we're gonna finish up this week. Listen, so glad to have you here today. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you again next time.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.